right, thank you for joining us for another episode of the Think Big, Act Bold podcast, where I get the opportunity to interview people who are doing great things for the youth, having a huge impact in the community, and bring light to everything that they're doing so we can bring more awareness to it. And today I'm super lucky and super blessed to have Danny McGhee on the podcast. If anyone in Harford County knows about real estate, they know about your name. And I wanted to dive way deeper than real estate with you because the community impact that you have is like, I don't even know that I can put into words. Your toy drive, I would be shocked if other states didn't hear about it and want to do exactly what you do. So I decided to ask you one because first off, I wanted to talk about your toy drive. And then second of all, I know you do your annual trip to Costa Rica on your mission trips. So if I missed anything, please feel free to share. But first off, thank you for everything that you do for the community.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I'm a nobody. I'm a nobody that just decided to take a chance and do something, and it blew up. You know, without me, it was all God. You know what I mean? I
love that. So we'll jump right into it's on the toy drive, and then we'll add kind of Costa Rica on it. What lit up inside of you to say, you know what, there's a bunch of kids, and we all know that there's kids that they're not going to get toys on Christmas, and parents who aren't going to receive anything. What sparked it, and how long ago did you decide that you were like, you know what, I'm going to be that person to change these people's lives, and I'm going to be that person to really make an event out of Christmas where that's a holiday that some people kind of dread seeing?
Can I get long-winded?
Of course.
I'm going to talk for a minute.
Yeah.
So I grew up out here in Harford County. I didn't like who I was as a child. I thought God made the mistake when he made me. I was shy. I was caring. I was quiet. I was a late bloomer. And I wanted to be everything but that. I wanted to be a tough guy. I wanted to be a gangster. I wanted to be a drug dealer. Those are all the things, I wanted to fit in with all my friends who were older, bigger than me, and came from single parent homes. And I started to emulate that at an early age. I started drinking. I found out that alcohol made me the person that I wanted to be. And then, I sold drugs, and eventually I met an older woman that was doing heroin. I fell in love with her, and then I fell in love with heroin next. And I ended up homeless in the streets of Baltimore, and I trashed the whole first half of my life. Heart attacks, overdoses, issues with guns and stabbings, in and out of prison, 7 treatment centers, 29 incarcerations. I walked away from that whole life in 2021. And I had to start over. And I shouldn't be alive by any means. Everybody around me died. And I had 4 felonies on my record, no skills, no trades, no anything. And I was waiting tables. I was working in warehouses. I was doing menial jobs. But I've always had that entrepreneurial spirit. And so I decided to do it legally instead of illegally this time. And I opened up a business, and then I started another business. I had a bail bonds business. And then all of a sudden I had a house, a car, and I was making good money, and I got real grateful. And I'm like, God, I shouldn't be alive. I shouldn't be alive, let alone be allowed to have this life that I have. And at that moment in time, I had seen every day families coming into my bail bonds office who's, they're dragging their children in there to bail out the mother or father, or the mother or father had overdosed and died, or they're living in extreme poverty. Millions of different situations where the kids are constantly the victims and they don't deserve to be. So I remember I did my first yoga class because I've always been a spiritual seeker. And they opened up a yoga place right down the street from my office in Bel Air. So I went down there and did my first yoga class, and it was a bunch of 50-year-old women and me, and I was ripped up and thought I was really fit at the time, but I wasn't, come to find out when I did that class. I was on the mat like sweating and shaking and losing my mind, and these women are like just breezing through the poses. They say when you open your body, you open your spirit. And I went out and sat in my car winded after that class, and I'm like, I need to make a change. I need to start focusing on this world instead of focusing on myself, because I don't deserve to be here. And I just had the idea to I said, I'm going to take $2,500 and I'm going to take 50 kids to Toys R Us for Christmas, $50 a piece, children whose parents are either in jail or deceased from addiction, and take them shopping for Christmas. And that's going to be my first step. And I did that, and I posted the pictures on social media of the kids with their toys, which is an important part of the step here, and we'll get back to that. Because the community saw that, and the community said, wait a minute, I want to get involved. Why didn't you ask me to sponsor a kid? And it blossomed from there. The next year we had 100 children. The next year 150 children. I'm in my 14th year. We took 710 kids shopping last year at $100 a piece, $71,000 worth of toys. And then we took another $75,000 worth of toys on a box truck down in North Carolina. And that, once I realized what little old me, this nobody, this, for lack of a better word, POS, who lived in the streets and robbed and stole from everybody, could now do in this new life of mine, then I got addicted to it. And then I started doing homeless feedings. And I started doing stuff with senior citizens and low-income housing. I started doing mission trips to third world countries. And then eventually that blossomed into the Agape Projects, which is my nonprofit.
That's incredible. And I like how you kind of share your story, and it reminded me, because I think when you're involved in projects with the youth, it's like you try to explain the feelings and why you're involved and why you're doing it, and it feels like you're crazy. I know, like, when I'll explain, like, the vision boards, I went to Jamaica this summer and did vision boards there, and people were like, I mean, even family, like, what are you doing? You're going to some country you've never been to meet people you've never met before, to hang out with kids that you'll never see again for a week. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I'm leaving hope. And they'll look at me like, okay, like, you still sound crazy. And you explaining what the toy drive was for you and continues to be is like that feeling to where it's like, hey, it may not make sense, but it's almost like, I hate that some of it comes from guilt, but a lot of it'll come from, hey, like, we can make the next generation better by just focusing on those that are here now. And I think you allow them to be seen. So these, I would imagine a lot of the kids that come, especially if they're from incarcerated parents or parents that have passed away, they don't get to see their value because the world is just a mess around them. And for that moment, they're that kid in the store running around, acting crazy, grabbing whatever they want off the shelf. And you've created that environment.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah.
And make no mistake about it, we get blessed just as much or more than they do. You know what I mean? Because it is such a high. It's such a good feeling.
And I think that's like unexplainable too, to where it's like, man, it's worth the investment, the stress, because I can't ever imagine just being responsible for 710 kids. I mean, it's hard. Like, we have 3 kids. Like, I have to be responsible for 3 kids at Christmas, and I'm like stressed out. So for you to kind of do that, take that on, and know kind of what you're taking on, like you said, each year it kind of hits in a different way, and know that it's still worth it, and keep fighting through it, even though it is a lot on you and it is a lot on the people around you. So
yeah, it's a full-time job at Christmas, but I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world. And you know, it's the community, man. I make a substantial donation. I stepped up. Like, this year, I donated enough to cover the first 100 kids. But, you know, we did 710 kids last year. That's another $61,000. And I'm not backing people into a corner. I'm not even inboxing or calling people asking for money. I just put it out on social media and let people volunteer to donate.
Yeah.
You know? So in the beginning, the amount of kids on the list far supersedes the amount of money that I raise. And then I start freaking out every year, wondering if I'm going to be able to raise enough to cover all these kids. And magically every year it happens. But it's super stressful. Yeah.
And I think another thing that I realized, just funding is a big issue for a lot of initiatives. What you realize is, like, you get to the point of funding it, and then it does happen to just figure itself out. But the stress kind of getting there is crazy. And what I've noticed with sponsors, usually it's a lot of people who want to give back, want to do something good for the community, but they're not able to. But they're able to write a check or send a donation.
Right.
And that gives them the same feeling that you're getting. Now they're feeling like, okay, now I don't feel so guilty to be so busy that I can't give my time, but signing this check allows me to still have that impact. And it's appreciated, I'm sure, by you, and I'm sure by a lot of other initiatives, just for the people to step up and think about you when it comes to giving the money at that time of year.
100%. The financial donation is just as important, if not more important, than the people that are willing to go be there at the actual event.
Yeah.
Because anybody can do that, but being able to sacrifice some of your income to help others is a massive undertaking.
What is one, like, personal story that you have from one of your toy drives that really was just like, yep, I'm in the exact space I need to be in, doing the exact thing I'm supposed to be doing.
Well, just the way that it's blown up from nothing, right? And the way that it transitioned into all these other projects that I do, for sure. But it's the pay it forward thing, right? So there are children that came to my first toy run, and remember I said this is my 14th year, that have turned around and now as adults have donated back to the toy run. Or there's people whose apartments caught on fire, houses caught on fire, and I raised money for them and brought them gift cards and things like that. And then I see them donating the next time that I'm raising money for somebody whose house or apartment caught on fire. There's some children, like recently I just helped a family buy a house who used to come to my toy run. And there have been a couple instances of that. So to see them actually make it to that level from being impoverished and not having anything is absolutely incredible too.
And I think it speaks on the belief that you're instilling on people, even though it may feel something as simple as, oh, it's toy donations for Christmas. But sometimes that's what someone needs to feel like, okay, I can handle life.
Yeah.
The depression that comes around Christmas time for many people is overbearing. And having you take that weight off of a parent is just incredible. And then the kid doesn't feel embarrassed when they go to school after Christmas break. Like, what did you get for Christmas? What did you get for Christmas? What did you get for Christmas? They can actually show off something that they wouldn't have had without your vision.
Yeah. And one other thing, I said I'm a nobody. I'm not a nobody. None of us are. But I say that because I'm very humble and I don't think I'm any more important or better than anybody else. But I put myself in a position to be a role model inadvertently. And, some of the times the children come to the toy run and they bring me cards and they bring me little gifts and things like that. And like notes like, I want to be like you when I grow up, Mr. Danny, or they tell their parents like they want to give stuff to other kids, So I've set an example.
Yeah.
And that's really fun. That's really cool.
And I love thinking about like the ripple effect of you'll never know just how big of an impact that you've had on this world. Because, while you served 710 kids last year, at 710 kids, I don't know how many parents, I don't know how many grandparents, I don't know how many aunts and uncles that it just trickled out to, and that's just 1 year. And then having them think about you like, oh man, I can't wait to be able to give back. Teaching that at such an early age to where it's like, hey, there's good people in this world that are giving to me. I want to grow up and give back. You're like building this amazing universe that is just going to spread.
That conversation has to happen behind closed doors. I'm not Santa Claus.
Right.
So like, Mom, Dad, why is this guy buying us stuff for Christmas? And then they have to explain it. And then the children see like the potential of what's out there to actually be selfless and do things for other human beings.
Yeah. And that the life, I think a lot of people are in survival mode. So also seeing like, hey, right now, here's where we're at. I'm in survival mode. I'm doing my best. I'm getting a little help. A lot of people are too scared to ask for help. So teaching kids at an early age, like, hey, when you need help, there's somebody around. Like, ask for it. The most they're going to do is say no. And I think that's such an important lesson that you're teaching to where it's like, hey, we can't do it all. Like, we all have our own limitations. And it's just, I'm just like shocked about how it just spreads and turns into something way bigger. And that's why I was excited to have you on, because while at the end of the day, it's a toy run and there's plenty of toy runs all over the place, the lessons that are being taught in that day by raising the money, by showing these kids and these families that there's somebody here that cares. No matter what. The
entire community.
Yeah.
The entire community back. A lot of different business owners and people, hundreds of people from Harford County step up. So the community cares about them.
Yeah.
It's important to know.
They just need to feel that. And I do a lot of work in the schools and I'll volunteer in the schools and I'll feel like the same thing where it's like some of the kids, they really just want love. I'm just super grateful for what you do in the community and lucky enough that I'm in the community and I get to see all of the work that you get to do. So let's talk about Costa Rica.
All right. So it wasn't just Costa Rica.
Okay.
When, like I said, I screwed off the first half of my life with drugs and alcohol, selling and using, and I never left the state of Maryland. So I got the travel itch when I got a couple dollars and I had the opportunity to. So I became addicted to traveling.
Okay.
But I also became addicted to giving back to the community. So I figured, how can I do these two things at once?
Yeah.
And I went on a trip to Peru with a group of people, and actually 4 of us went early, and we went and explored the whole country of Peru. We went and saw Machu Picchu and the Incan ruins and all this beautiful stuff. It was probably, I've been to 36 countries now. It was probably the most magical trip I've ever been on. Wow. But then we met up with the rest of the group and we got on a houseboat and we went 8 hours up into the Amazon River and we slept on this houseboat. And the whole thing was magical. There's pink dolphins in the Amazon River. Look it up. There's pink dolphins.
Yeah, I've heard of it.
Yeah, and we went piranha fishing. We went alligator hunting in the middle of the night. Like, it just really cool stuff. We slept on a houseboat. We docked at a muddy river bank in the middle of nowhere in the jungle, and we helped this Shipibo tribe, they're called. We helped them build a community center and put water filtration systems in their huts. And amazing trip. I was blessed big time. I mean, to see these people that have literally nothing living out in the jungle in the middle of nowhere. The children is what struck me the most.
Yeah.
There were hundreds of children, and they'd help us build. Like, they worked. They got their hands dirty. They'd work. They didn't have to. I was the candy man. There was like this little makeshift shop in the village where they sold candy and stuff. So every day I would go down and buy a ton of candy and hand it out. And there were hundreds of kids and they never once fought to get a piece of candy. If one kid didn't get a piece of candy, they made sure that he got one. That whole week I never saw a temper tantrum. I never saw a child cry. I never saw children fight. It was a whole different world. The gratitude and the humility in these countries is totally different than American children. Like, it's a whole different world here. But anyways, They had us locked in at night. It was like the boat was like a prison. It was surrounded in bars.
Okay.
And that was for our own protection.
Yeah.
There's pirates on the Amazon River. So we had 2 armed guards on the roof with shotguns, and twice in the middle of the night they shot at pirates to scare them away. It's just straight up adventure. And I got hooked. I got hooked immediately. Like, that's right up my alley. And so I started doing trips all the time. I think I did 1 or 2 more trips with other groups to Honduras and Guatemala, and then I decided I'm not a rule follower. I like to do my own thing. I don't like being. I just don't like a whole bunch of set rules, and I have to walk this way. I can only go here. I'm not allowed to go to the store. So I started leading my own trips.
Okay.
So we've done Guatemala, Honduras a couple times, Nicaragua. I did the Peru one. Costa Rica, when the hurricane happened, we went down there and put roofs on houses, and then I went to Haiti, and Haiti was like the roughest, most real experience I've ever had in my entire life. It's the biggest slum in the world, City Soleil in Haiti, and I saw things down there that, like, we cried. We came back. The entire group came back, like, emotionally distraught, like we had just came back from a war zone. There's mothers that would come up and hand me their naked baby and then run off, and we'd have to track them down and give them their baby back because they knew that their baby wasn't going to live with them.
Yeah.
Their child slavery is a huge thing down there. The children are malnourished. They don't have clothes. Their bellies are distended. Their ribs are poking out. We went to orphanages and held what we thought were babies, and come to find out they were like 10 and 12-year-old children who just never had enough nourishment to actually grow. Like, the thing, we saw a car hit and run into a crowd and kill a baby and a bunch of other people. They're just insane. Like, the need down there was absolutely insane. So I said, I'm not going anywhere else but Haiti. And I led like 4 trips to Haiti, and then COVID happened, and you couldn't get into Haiti, and then Haiti turned into a war zone. It killed the president, and it's being ran by gangs, and they're kidnapping missionaries, which I'd still go down there because I like adventure. But
I was going to say, it didn't seem like it'd stop you.
I'm responsible for other people, so I can't take people into a situation like that. So when COVID happened, my second home is Costa Rica. I've been to Costa Rica now over 50 times, and I plan on retiring there. I love it down there. And I know of a church down there that is in an impoverished community down there. And so I said, I'm going to do something a little different. I'm going to take newcomers, people that have never been out of the country, and take them down there. And we're going to do a half service trip, half vacation trip. And that's what I've done for the past 6-7 years now. We go down there and we serve in a poor area. We do building projects. We deliver groceries and medical supplies to people in need. But we also go to beaches and waterfalls and fishing and four-wheeling and all that kind of stuff. And I get a big house out in the jungle. It's like MTV Real World with 15 strangers in it. And it's a blast. It's my favorite thing I look forward to all year.
No, because I've seen the pictures, and it's like one of my bucket list trips. So last year, our oldest was a senior, and he's on the basketball team. So I was like, oh, it's winter sports. I can't miss his senior year. And then this year, our middle son has made a travel basketball team. I'm like, this was my year for Costa Rica. Like, what are you guys doing? I've actually never been. But everyone that I've talked to that has come back from Costa Rica, it's just, they're like, you just kind of have to go. Like, I can't
Yeah.
explain it, but it's this piece. And I think it's so remarkable that you style your trips differently, because missionary work is a lot of heavy work. And I think even when, I mean, physical labor, but then a lot of people don't think about the emotional toll. In Jamaica, I came back. I mean, I would go back to my hotel room crying because I'm like, I wanted to give them extra shoes or give them socks or wonder, hey, how are they getting home that night? Or
Yeah.
were they going to be okay? Were they going home to parents that night? Or were they going home by themselves? And I just know the emotional toll that took on me. And so, like Costa Rica, I'm just thinking like the way that you balance it, it allows people to really deal with the emotions better, because that sits and it comes home with you, and you get home and you try to talk to people that weren't there, and they're like, what are you crying about? Like,
Yeah,
what are you
yeah.
talking about? You were on, I saw your waterfall pictures. And it's like, no, it wasn't just
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
So I think it's so, like, for mental health's sake, to having both in
Yeah.
one trip really, I'm sure, has an impact on everyone that goes.
And a lot of people have the desire to serve, but they only get 1 or 2 vacations a year. And they're like, I don't want to use my vacation to go down and do more work when I'm already working 50 other weeks a year. You
Yeah.
know? So this gives an opportunity. I call it a beginner mission trip. You know, it gives an opportunity for people to experience the best of both worlds.
Do you have any countries kind of on your radar that you would like to visit for your mission trips?
Not for my mission trips. I'd
Okay.
love to get back to Haiti one day.
Yeah.
But on a personal level, I have a whole mountain of countries I'd love to go to.
Right.
But
No.
Haiti is there's no place where I've seen a need greater than Haiti. It's absolute hell on earth.
And I can't imagine, like, knowing that you were there had an impact, and now it's like your heart's like pulling you back, and it's like I just like can't. Like, there's nothing. It's out of your hands.
We go down. Our main mission down there on the first 3 trips I did down there is we would go get tanker trucks full of fresh water and deliver it to the slums in City Soleil. And City Soleil is chopped up like the Hunger Games. There's different sections.
Yeah.
And if you're in this section and you go to this section, you're getting killed. And we would come down there and we would pull the tanker truck full of water up into the community, and everybody would come running out of their huts and their little tin shacks and everything like that. And they line up with trash cans or baby pools or whatever they have that they can fill with water for the week. And that's the only water they had to bathe in, to brush your teeth, to cook with, and all that kind of stuff. And I can't explain the love. And when we're there, it's peaceful.
Yeah.
But as soon as we leave, the violence and the rapes and all the horrible things happen again. So, like, while we're there for that couple hours that we're delivering water, you should see the joy in the kids' faces.
Aw.
Like, they absolutely love us, because I feel like they know that we come to bring peace for a couple hours, and deliver supplies that they need.
And hope of that, hey, we're not, even though 90% of our time feels lonely, we can get this taste of sunlight and taste of sunshine when you guys go and actually help. So, no, that's amazing. So you brought up a lot of kids coming up to you, especially like at the toy drive, saying, man, I want to be like you. I would love to like mentor or look up to you. What advice would you give to someone, whether it's adult, youth, that is kind of seeing you and like, man, everything that he's doing, I want to do that. I want to be, whether it's real estate, whether it's just your give back and community projects, what advice would you give to them? Because I know you've been through incredible things, especially all that you do. And I mean, I don't know if you sleep, or maybe you sleep an hour or 2 a day.
I sleep good. I sleep good. I just lose my mind when I'm awake. Start small and start with you. That's all I did. Like, I wasn't worried about having my own, not like everybody comes to me. I sponsor a family for Christmas. I need to figure out how to start my own nonprofit. You don't need a nonprofit for these things. I didn't have a nonprofit for the first 5 or 6 years I was doing this. I didn't even want a nonprofit. And to be honest, once I got to 503c, my donations really didn't change any. People were donating because they wanted to donate, not because of the tax write-off. And now they've made the laws in Maryland that you don't even get charitable donation write-offs anymore. It has to be some form of sponsorship in order for you to use it for tax purposes. So I'm not knocking that. Like, eventually down the line, when your cause gets greater, then you can change it to a nonprofit, but you don't need that to succeed. All you have to do is step out there on faith and do your own thing. People call me, message me on Facebook. I was at the Royal Farms down in the city and there was a homeless guy down there. Can you come down here and help him? God put that homeless person in your path, not mine. Why can't you help them? Don't be shy. Don't be afraid. Every single person that's alive can make a difference in somebody else's life. You don't need somebody else to do that for you. So have a little faith and take the risk. If it's on your heart to help somebody, then help that person. And everything that I did happened unintentionally. I didn't take 50 kids shopping for Christmas thinking that I was going to have this nonprofit and be doing all this other stuff one day. It just happened organically and almost by accident.
Yeah. And I think the other thing people don't realize early enough is there's so many initiatives out there that if your heart's pulling you towards a nonprofit or pulling you towards community initiatives, work with someone.
Please.
Because someone could just come, hey, I want to do a toy drive. Okay, well, work with you and learn how you do it, because it's not as easy as it looks. And so my initiative, we are not a nonprofit yet. I haven't decided if I'm going that route or not. But I would love for someone to come on and just, even if it's sit down and like brainstorm ideas or talk, to where if we come together a little bit more, it spreads. And if the end goal is really community initiative, it's easy enough to work together to make it spread even further. I think some people get involved with ego, where it's like, oh, I want my name on this, I want my name on this, I want my name on this, and that's fine.
Don't get me started.
But you'll have your name on it, but you're not going to be able to serve the amount of people that you want, or you're not going to have the impact. So I think you just have to compare ego and impact. And if impact's important, there's so many ways, I'm sure, that people, whether it's like day of with your toy drive, whether it's financial donation, there's so many ways that people can help, where sometimes it's like, well, I can't cut a check, so there's nothing for me to do. I'm sure you have a list of 1,000 things that you would love to have a volunteer to do.
Ego is a tricky thing in this whole in the whole charity world, and there's a lot of it. Like I said, everything I did was by accident. It wasn't intentional. I didn't have an end goal. It just organically developed that way. But yeah, I get, because I do a toy run, I get messages all the time. How do I start my own toy run? Why don't you help me with mine?
Yeah.
Or why don't you help Megan with what she's got going on? Or why don't you help? There's 9 billion nonprofit organizations out here struggling, trying to accomplish their own goals. Why does everybody have to have their own?
Yeah.
Like, I don't get it, but that's just the way that people think. Like you said, everybody wants their own personal name attached on something they want credit for, but it's not about the credit. Me and Megan, talking about you in third person, you're sitting across from me. We had this conversation before the camera started rolling about the ego and charity work, and there's a fine line. Are you showing off what you're doing, or are you trying to gain more momentum? I told her, admittedly, when I first started doing things, there's a lot of survivor's guilt in my life, and there's a lot of guilt that plays in for me having a successful life now that I don't think I deserve. So I started doing this somewhat based on guilt, and it developed organically. But I wanted to also prove to the world that I wasn't a bad guy anymore, and so I showed off everything that I did. I showed off, and I'm totally different now, but if I gave a homeless man $50, I was talking about it. Like, I had to prove to everybody that I wasn't this bad guy anymore. And that's ego. And I told, when I went on these mission trips, I was in every picture, and now I look back at those things and cringe. It's not about that anymore. But there is a fine line, because we have to show what we do. We have to shine our light from a mountaintop, not hide it under a bowl, because that's the way my toy run would have never grown from 50 children to 710 kids. My mission trips wouldn't fill up every year. I throw a party every year for Christmas party for low-income senior housing, where we cook them a brunch and we bring them gift cards, and we have a DJ and dancing and all this stuff. I wouldn't have volunteers for that. I wouldn't have donations for that. I wouldn't have any of the things for any of the projects if I didn't post about it and share it. But we have to be very careful about what our reason is, our motive for sharing and showing off the things that we do.
And I think the same picture can be taken either way, whether it's ego. I try to... Because I was having trouble talking about what I do, and it's just like, I don't want to brag. Like, this isn't for me. This is for the people I'm serving. And I wouldn't talk about it. And then it was like, But you can't be upset when you're not getting the sponsorships and the support, because while you think a post a day or a video here is going to bring the attention, you're missing a whole lot of people. And that one picture, you don't know who it reaches, that now, picture that you might cringe at from years ago. It might be someone that saw it and has sent a check every single year supporting it, where you're like, I wish I never posted it. So, it's hard to tell where sponsors come from, where support comes from. So it is like a touchy game, to where it's like, hey, I promise we're not just bragging for the sake of bragging. Like, we're really trying to make an impact.
Right. And then there's the transparency part.
Yeah.
If I raise $71,000 last year, and I didn't show anybody any of the fruits of those donations, there were no pictures of kids, there was no documentation of a toy run.
Yep.
Then people are going to start questioning, did I go buy a new car with that $71,000? You know what I mean? So we have to lay the groundwork.
Yeah.
We have to show what we do and where it goes.
Or you post a picture of right after, has nothing to do with it. You might go on a vacation, and then they're like, oh, well, that's where the 71,000 went. And it's like, no, I promise you, like, I have the kids. So it's a social media and just kind of building that.
Damned if you don't.
Exactly.
To some people.
Yep. So it's tough. With the toy drive, with the mission trips, is there anything else that you're working on or have been working on through your nonprofit or outside of your nonprofit?
So right now I'm shifting into winter season, which is like when the nonprofit work becomes a full-time job and the real estate market cools off. Through the spring and summer, I'm like just pedal to the metal with real estate all year round, unless something comes up. And that's why I call it the Agape Projects, because we do everything. Like, I'm not passionate about one particular cause only. I'm passionate about changing this world in any way, shape, or form possible, whatever God lays in my path or on my heart. So throughout the spring and summer season, usually it's natural disasters. If there's hurricanes, if there's house fires, floods, anything like that, we step in, we raise money, and we do supplies for it. Now, in the wintertime, I have yearly things that I do every year, which is the toy run. We usually do something for Thanksgiving as far as feeding people and all that. I do the low-income senior citizen Christmas party every year. And then in February, I do a Valentine's Day thing where we deliver cards to the homeless, Valentine's Day cards, and we put gift cards in those and deliver those. So those are my, just every year, the things that I do every year. But the rest of it is just spur of the moment, like if something comes up and somebody needs help.
And you stayed really humble about the Valentine's Day. And I've seen the pictures and the videos to where you're actually in your car handing out cards to individual. It's not like you're dropping off, and you may do drop offs too, but from what I've seen, it's not like you're just getting 500 cards and dropping them off somewhere and never know where they're going. You're individually handing them to people who you can see that are in need, and you making sure they're getting into the hands of the people that you want to serve, which is incredible, because it's easy enough to kind of just toss something aside and give it to someone else to handle the legwork of it. But you're actually boots on the street, making sure everybody has what they need. And I've seen the conversations of even going beyond that and asking oh, what is it that you need? Do you need a meal? Do you need water? And really showing that care. It speaks highly of you. And I think sometimes people don't always get to see all the sides that we have. And I think for you, I'll see so much compassion for just human beings in general, which is just incredible.
And it comes from being there. I was homeless on the street by my own choices. I wasn't a victim of circumstances. I was a victim of myself. But living in Baltimore homeless, the emptiness that I feel all day, every day in the cold of winter, just complete misery, having nobody. And again, it was to my own devices. Some of these people, it's not. Some of these people, it's mental illness. Some of these people are a victim of circumstances. But either way, I'm sure at one point in their life they were in love with somebody. I'm sure at one point in life they had somebody special, and now here they are, empty and broken, living in the streets. I feel like it's just cool to be able to go down and hand them a card that says, we love you, God loves you, or just some kind of special message in it with a gift card, and just to let them know they're not forgotten about. Yeah. Even on Valentine's Day.
And something that they can keep. So something that's easy enough to where it can go with them. And when they're having the hard day, that card lives forever, to where they can bring back those feelings, the feeling that they have when they receive the card and get the gift card and just meeting you or meeting whoever. I know you have a team that kind of goes out and making those connections. They can go back a week later when, hey, life might not feel as great the next week, but they can go back to that feeling and be like, hey, somebody out there cares. I have proof here, and I still need to live. I still need to survive, and I still need to keep fighting. So I think it's incredible. A big question that I get when people ask about my initiative is, hey, what challenges have you gone through? What things have you gone through that almost made you quit? So I was wondering if there's any challenges, whether it's the mission trips, whether it's the cards, whether it's the toy run, just some challenges that you could kind of give people like a head start that are thinking about starting community initiatives. What challenges have you had that you've kind of had to work through to get to where you are?
I mean, challenges don't make me quit. They make me want to work harder. You know what I mean? It gets frustrating sometimes. But honestly, the only challenge is it's hard to raise money. Yep. And none of us have a never-ending flow of money. I mean, there's some people that might think I'm rich, but I sacrifice a good bit of what I make. I'm not rich. I'm okay. But raising the rest of that money, I freak out every time. Like, why aren't the donations coming in? And somehow, we were talking about this before this camera started rolling. Somehow they always do.
Yep.
But it's very slow in the beginning, and it's tough. It's very tough, and you're going to get frustrated with people. You're going to think that people should donate to your cause just because it's a good cause, and it doesn't work that way. There's so many people out there hitting other people up for money. There's that, and then there's, of course, the naysayers make it really tough on you. The people that are questioning your motives and are trying to judge you because you are sharing the good things that you do, or questioning why you do the good things you do. And that's their own stuff. I came to realize that there were a lot of people from my past that were thinking that I do the things I do all for ego but that, pats on the back don't pay my bills. There's a lot better things I could be doing with my time. I could be doing more real estate than out focusing on other people. That's not why I do it. But those people will get you down, and you can't let them. You got to, I hate to be corny and cliche, but your haters are your motivators. You got to use that as fuel to keep proving people wrong and doing the right thing.
100%. And I think it's big. I mean, mindset is a big thing, because when you're trying to do something like serve 710 kids with a toy run, or vision boards, or pass out Valentine's Day cards, a lot of people around you are just going to look at you like you're crazy. Like, why are you driving through the streets of Baltimore handing out cards? Who cares about that? And you have to get past it and realize, no, whether it's a crazy idea or not, it's in my head, and I have to get it from my head out to the community. And pushing past that mindset shift, I think that's what I tell people a lot is, if you haven't worked on your mindset, I wouldn't go into community initiatives until you're ready to handle, because the people that you love and care about the most, they're going to be the ones that are like, go get a job. You're not making any money. What are you doing? Your time could be spent better. And I'm sure you've heard it from people where it's like, why are you doing that when you could be selling more houses, or you could be doing this, or you could mentor other people? And it's like, I get that you don't get it. Just keep your comments to yourself, because I'm going to keep moving. So I think mindset is huge.
There's a lot of that too. Why are you doing stuff for these people? They would never do it for you, and vice versa. You know what I mean? But that's not what it's about. And it's impossible, I think, to do anything selfless. No matter what, there's a selfish principle behind it. If I didn't get a good feeling from what I do, if I wasn't living out what I think my purpose is here on this earth, then I wouldn't be doing it. It's not, I don't try to wrap your brain around that and think of how to do something completely with no selfish motives whatsoever. It's not possible. So we get something out. I get something out of it. This is what gives me life. It breathes life into me. There's nothing greater on this earth than purpose. And I feel like I lived through a life that I shouldn't have lived through because I have a purpose. And so that's what I try to spend the rest of my days living out.
How can people get behind you and your initiatives? Whether it's volunteers, I know, of course, financial donations for the toy run. And this year you're partnered. I wanted to bring this up, and I'm glad I just thought about it. So the store that you've been working with shut down.
Yeah.
So a lot of people okay, hey, the store shut down. I put in 14 years of doing this work, and we can just be done. Mm-hmm. No, not you.
Well, to be honest, this has been a never-ending problem.
Yeah.
Because I started at Toys R Us.
Okay.
And I did a few good years at Toys R Us, and that was the best because it's a toy store. And then they shut down. And then I went to Target in White Marsh, and we did 2 years at Target in White Marsh, and that worked out pretty good. Except they had a hard time keeping toys in stock. The shelves were pretty empty by the time we did the toy run. And then the third year I went back, and the manager I worked with was gone, and it was some young manager, and she was like, I'm not interested. It sounds like too much work. So then I went into Target in Bel Air, and they were like, sounds like too much work. And then I was approached by Macy's, the actual warehouse. A buddy of mine worked at the warehouse, and he said, management's interested in talking to you about doing your toy run. And so I went and met with them. We went to the Bel Air location, and Macy's knocked it out of the park. Like, they brought in a DJ, they bring in face painters, they got Jeffrey the Giraffe, Spider-Man. They took it to a whole nother level. And so we did it at the Bel Air Macy's 2 years in a row, and it was phenomenal. It's better than I could have ever asked for. And then, boom, they're shutting down.
Yeah.
So now we're going to our fifth location, the Macy's in White Marsh. And they seem to be really cool, too. So hopefully it's just as good or better.
And I can't imagine the impact that you're having on the stores. Because it's not like you're going in there and saying, hey, I'm going to bring in all these kids and give them this and give them this and give them this. You're saying, hey, I'm bringing all these kids. They have their finances, whether it's gift card or however you handle the checkout. But you're not costing the store. You're not putting the store, if anything, it's great marketing. You probably kept the Macy's in Bel Air alive a whole extra season because of it.
Yeah, $71,000 toy ring in one day is pretty good.
Right.
They do. Shout out to Macy's. They do give me like a 10%, and they give me some gift cards and stuff like that. So it allowed us to cover a few more kids. In fact, they gave me Macy's cash this time that I had left over. So I bought $6,000 worth of stuff to give out to single moms in May, and I did a single moms group.
That.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So it's even the gifts that you receive for all your good work, you still invest them back out to someone else. And I think it's like in the most creative ways.
I could have bought some nice polo with that.
Yeah, like you could have bought it. I mean, and then they were going out of closing down, so you could have got all kind of discounts. But instead, you figure out a way to give back in a whole different way. And I think like that creative nature of what you do is just incredible.
Thank you.
So, last question: when it comes to legacy, how do you want to be known? Because I know you've talked a lot about your past and what you've overcome. And as much as I dislike that you call yourself a nobody, I'm glad that you explained it, because at the end of the day, we are all nobodies, and not in a way that we shouldn't hold value to ourselves. But everything that you can do, the next guy
100%.
On the street can do, and no matter what they're in right now. And it's just kind of like knowing that. So I do appreciate that you explained being a nobody and the meaning actually behind it. But what do you want to be known for? And when people say your name, what would you like them to think of?
I could die tomorrow and I'd be happy. Based on what I've done. I know that I can do so much more, but I don't. Number one, I call myself a nobody because I don't believe in ego, my spiritual path and everything, my recovery path. If I held on to my ego, I'd probably be getting high or selling drugs, and I'd be back out in the streets. So I live without an ego, and I try to keep my ego in check at all times. So that's why I refer to myself as a nobody. I'm obviously a somebody, and every single other person is. I'm just saying I'm no better than anybody else. So what I do, anybody can do, because I don't have any special talents like that, besides my gratitude and humility. What do I want to be remembered for? The things that I've already done. So I'm cool. Like, I just want to continue doing the things that I'm doing. I want to continue to rock the real estate game and be successful there. I came in as an anomaly, as a black sheep in the real estate game. I broke all the rules and I dominated it, and I did it in what I think is a charitable way by charging people less money, doing more, putting people first, not counting money. And so between that and the charity and work and the book, I wrote 2 books. I wrote Chasing a Flawed Son and Falling Towards Heaven. Like, that's my legacy. Purpose is the greatest thing you can have. Forget the money, forget anything else. It's your purpose, and I'm good.
And I think that's like an amazing goal to get to, of just being okay with, hey, if I die tomorrow, I've lived my purpose. I've worked my purpose. And if I get 10 more years to keep working my purpose, that's a bonus. But kind of getting to that place to where you can really feel happy with life.
Yeah.
I'm sure you need volunteers for the toy run.
I don't.
No?
No. So the toy run,
Okay.
and people want to volunteer for the toy run all the time, and I wish.
Okay.
But the kids come in with a guardian.
Perfect.
They run through the store. They pick out what they want. They check out at the cash register. There's really no need.
Okay.
Macy's supplies brings staff from all their other stores and has them in there. So to help guide people towards things and do price checks and all that kind of stuff. So honestly, me and like 2 or 3 people stand at the front door with clipboards checking people in on the list, and that's it.
Okay.
So I really don't. I just need monetary donations for the toy run always. That's the biggest thing. And then I can always use volunteers that want to come cook or come hang out at the low income senior housing Christmas party. I can always use volunteers to make Valentine's Day cards. I like when children make Valentine's Day cards for the homeless. And then anything else I post on Facebook, that's my CRM. That's where all my everything goes down at, and that's where I can stay in contact with everybody at the same time. Unfortunately, I'm old. That's the only platform I really use. I'm not on TikTok. I'm hardly on Instagram. But yeah, it's just a come as it happens type of thing. So all my needs I usually post on there.
And reach out to you directly for financial donations?
Yeah, or it's www.theagapeprojects.org is where all the donations go to. All
right. So thank you. Once again, I know your schedule is crazy, so I appreciate absolutely. You kind of fitting me in and really just bringing more awareness to everything that you have going on. I'm excited to see how big this year's toy run will be. I'm
nervous.
Nervous?
Yeah, I'm nervous. I have no problem. I have no problem getting 700 children. It's the problem getting 700 children worth of money donated to cover them.
Yeah.
I covered the first 100, and I got maybe 5. I'm only up to 105 right now covered.
Okay.
So we'll see.
I think November also brings, because I think
people don't donate until they get close to the holiday.
Right.
Businesses got to see what they have for the end of the year and how much write-offs they need, and then people get in the giving spirit as you get closer to the holidays. Right now, it's kind of a stagnant time.
Yeah, we don't want to think about Christmas too early.
Right.
Even though, for your sake, it has to be thought of super early. So I appreciate everything that you continue to do. I'll make sure to drop the link to the website and everything so people know how to reach you. And I can't wait to hear all of the successes from the toy run, the low-income Christmas party, from the Valentine's, from because you're going back to Costa Rica this year.
Yeah, I can't wait. I need that heat already.
Yeah. So thank you again for coming.
Absolutely. Thank you.